Hello, Rufus Church. Today I want to talk about chasing shadows. And this came up because last week Kelly and I were driving down a dark, windy road, and somebody was riding our butts with their brights on. And we were underneath some trees that formed like a canopy. So when the person's lights were shining on us, it cast this almost perfect. I mean, it was slightly distorted, but it casted this like shadow of my truck in front of me, and it was such a perfect shadow of my truck, something like I wouldn't be able to see in the daytime because of the light coming from everywhere, but because it was just a focused, concentrated beam of light projecting onto the truck. The shadow was so perfect that it looked like I was following a shadow truck through the woods. And then my mind, the way it works, seeing that like everything in the world is a way of learning more about myself, learning more about God. I said, man, I was kind of excited. Kelly was like, man, you see this person riding our tails? They're so close to us. And she wanted me to speed up, but I was like, I'm just going to speed limit. I'm not worried about this person. But in that moment of just staying in my place, in my space of peace and calm, while seeing the shadow in front of me, I was able to observe, and I said, whoa, man, it's like I'm literally like I'm following this shadow. And then it like kind of hit me, like how much times in life we follow shadows, and we follow shadows as if they're the real thing. And this might get played out eventually when we're talking about illusion and all this other stuff and reality and all these other things. But in essence, it's just a perfect metaphor. I mean, how many times in life have we followed something thinking that it had substance when it actually had no substance at all? And the only substance that was there was the substance we gave it. We projected our light onto that object and then gave it a lot more value than it really had. So this is another example of that. So the analogy that I want to make is that a lot of times in life we cast our energy onto things that have, as I mentioned in the previous blog, have not so much inherent value, and we cast that big shadow, and then we spend our life chasing that shadow. But what some of us never come to realize is like the only way that we can follow a shadow is if the light is at our back. Now I said that with some kind of emphasis, like, "Bah, I'm enlightening people, blah blah." But anyway, you know what I'm saying. Think about it. If the light is at your back, you are doomed to follow shadows. And if the light is coming at you, the shadow is going to be behind you. So if I equate the light with God or the light of our own being or whatever the case may be, then we know that when we follow the light, the shadow has no effect. The shadow is at our back. It's behind us. It's gone. The shadow's in the past. But if the light is at our back, like this light back here that you can see, when the light is at your back, then it casts forth a shadow. And when it casts forth that shadow, then that's what we follow. So there's a couple ways to avoid chasing shadows. One is face the light. The other is be the light. So I think both of those are available to us in this world. So I say to you, I say to myself, um, be the light, or at least follow the light. Because if you got the light at your back, all you're doing is casting shadows. And just to stretch this out a little bit, there's a lot of things that we make important in life um, that I submit are not that important, as I've said in other posts. And when we do that, when we cast our light onto those things, we make idols out of those things. And when we make idols out of those things and we shine our light on that idol, you notice that when you shine your light on something, the shadow of that thing is bigger than the thing itself. So like if you take a little cup of can of soda and you shine a flashlight on it, it's not the long shadow. It's not going to have just that little shadow that is exactly the same shape as the can. It's going to be even bigger. So a lot of times we shine our light on things that are unimportant, and it casts this huge shadow. And the closer your light gets to that thing that's not important, the bigger of a shadow it casts on our lives. And so we might be consumed by shadows. Maybe we might have the light so up against something that it casts such a wide shadow that the shadow is all we see. So in that case, I say to you, if all you see is shadow, if all you see is darkness, back away, step back. And as you step back, that shadow shrinks. And if you step back further enough, there's no shadow at all. And then look to the light and as much as possible, try to be that light, be one with that light, and live that light. And then you'll be free from casting shadows, because as James tells us and as John tells us, God is the birther of lights, and there's no shadows in God. So, that being the case, I say, if we're following shadows, we might not be following God. Probably not. Anyway, that's my message.